All right, let's get this thing powered up for the first time and see what happens. Oh crap. Hey, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we are going to turn on both of these machines. If you missed the last episode, you can check it out right here. So these two machines have been sitting for 16 years without being powered on in a musty old garage. So we're going to take a closer look at the Bally Hardbody, look at the underside of the playfield and check out everything. And then we're going to fire it up, and then we're going to fire up Dungeons and Dragons. So now I've got the glass off of Hardbody. We can take a closer look and see the condition of the game. Overall, it looks pretty good. Just super dirty. Got a little bit of flipper wear right there. Just a little bit right there. All the plastics look in pretty good condition except for this guy, and I think this is a common problem with station number 3 breaking off right here. Aside from it just being incredibly dirty and just sitting for a while, it actually doesn't look bad. There's no wear right here or anything. So let's take a look at the inside. So inside here, actually, it looks pretty good. I don't see any hack wiring jobs, which is good. Everything looks pretty clean. That's a mirror blade for the side here that's come off. This side's still on, so I'll have to reattach that. Looks like we got a manual, a programming card. Looking at the back box, I don't see anything too weird. Looks like the previous owner might have done a remote battery relocation, which is good. It looks like it might have had some leakage before. Not sure what this plug goes to. It's just kind of hanging out here. It's missing the light bulb. But everything looks pretty good. Well, let's turn this thing on and see what happens. Here we go. Okay, that's a good sign. Oh. Okay, things are happening. Got garbled displays. That could be a dirty connection to either the board, the LEDs here, could be to the display, or it could be at the display output here. So let's check that out. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I just pushed in, so these connector headers are gonna have to be cleaned. Sweet. Displays look good. Wow, I'm surprised. Being off for 16 years, just dirty and cruddy. Well, let's see if it plays. Wow, that was horrible. Or should I say, not horrible, but just funny. All right, let's see what happens. Ooh. Boy, this plunger's got no strength to it. Okay. My GoPro is in the way of the flippers here. Well, seems to flip. That works. Those flippers up top look really weird. Well, so far everything seems to be working. Oh, right flipper won't hold. And that's sticking. Yeah, the flippers up there are sticking. Yeah, if I hold the right flipper, well, it's holding now. Yeah, it kind of works sometimes and it kind of doesn't. Well, that works. Cool. Now these flippers look really weird. Wow. Look at the play. Yeah, these flippers are super loose. So my guess is probably the bushing that's in here, because they just have a lot of movement. Yeah, I don't think they should do that. Look at that. Wow, let's check these. Those are solid. That's solid. Well, I'm very happy. Everything seems to work. Flippers definitely need to be rebuilt. New bushings up here for sure. I'll probably do new bushings for everything. New Titan bands and LEDs throughout will be great. And I'm gonna go ahead and clean all the connectors. Probably gonna recap all the boards on this one and Dungeons and Dragons. It's working. Let's get this thing powered up for the first time and see what happens. I've got the playfield exposed. Got the back box ready just in case anything catches fire. So let's flip it on and see what happens. Oh crap. We've got a coil locked on right here. At least I think we do. Yeah, that's on right there. I better shut this thing off quickly. Well, that sucks. So we probably have a bad transistor driver for this solenoid right here. Yeah, see, it just went back down. Well, I guess I can clip that or figure out which driver is bad. It's probably one of these guys up here. It's for the teleport on the left-hand side. So I'll have to look at that. I guess I could pull the solenoid send here. That would probably fix it. So let me try that. Turn it on again. There we go. Yeah, so that guy's definitely locked on. We have tele left empty. I think what happens if there's a switch problem, it tells you, but this is good. Displays are working, which is good. Light bulb is working. Looks like the playfield is working. So far, so good. Oh, the displays actually look really good. Wow, that's a miracle. So I guess one of these guys has failed, one of these driver transistors for the solenoid, so I'm gonna have to look at the book and figure out which one that is. Seems like it was just this guy. He was buzzing and making all sorts of crazy sounds. So I'll have to check that out. But everything else seems like it's working. Can't really play a game because of the solenoid issue, so I'll have to pull the board out and put a new driver transistor in it and see what's going on with that. And then I also got to replace the battery, so you can see some nasty corrosion here. All right, well, that's interesting. Kind of sad. I was hoping I could check out the solenoids and see what's happening, but I really don't want to burn up a coil. Actually, we can have a look at that coil and see if it's melted or what. So it's this one right here. Looks a little brown in the middle. That's how you can tell if the coils have been getting hot. They'll start changing color in the center. So all the other coils look pretty good, except for this guy right here. I think this is the ball gate, your MagnaSave guy here. So I'll have to look at that one and see if that one's latching on or not. But All the other coils look pretty good, so I'm going to take a wild guess that maybe the driver for this guy died. Oh, and this one's a little warm too. Now, I did some digging on the forums just to kind of educate myself on this, and I've been told that these MagnaSave ramps or guides or whatever you want to call them do get warm, and they are often discolored. So this might just be normal for this game. But if you guys have one of these games or a similar era Bally game, let me know in the comments and help me out a little bit. That would be really cool. Appreciate any suggestions. I went ahead and got the main board up on the bench here, and what I'm going to do is, since the manual I have was a horrible scan, I think this is the same one that's on Internet Pinball Database. I'm guessing it's this third transistor here is the one that controls the left transport or transporter slot. But easy way to check your transistors to see if they're good or bad is get a multimeter, set it for the diode setting, and put your negative on the center metal part of your transistor. And then the idea is to check both of the outside legs, and you're looking for a reading of 0.4 volts or 0.7 volts, somewhere in that range, and that lets you know that it's good. So just checking this first one, I've got 0.5 volts. I'm gonna go to the other leg. I've got 0.4. So this one's good. So I could go all the way through this, but I think from what I see in the manual, this guy right here is gonna be bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and check this outer leg. That's showing 4. And this other leg, let's see here. Hard to get in there. 0. So this guy is open. So what happens when these fail? They have high power coming in, and then they have a ground, and then the microcontroller tells when it's time to fire a coil. The microcontroller opens up this other side, so it's kind of like a remote switch. So you have power coming in, a ground, and then your output. So if the output side fails, it's basically like, you know, if you had a remote light switch and you can't shut it off. Normally, you know, with a light bulb, that's fine, but on a solenoid, it's not designed to stay on all the time. So what happens is they burn out, and that's how most of these coils fail, because these guys fail, and they just continuously allow power to flow through it. So what I'm gonna do, this takes a TIP 102, and I actually have some of those, so I'm gonna swap this guy out. We're gonna put it back in the game and see if it works. So this is our TIP transistor, and they're fairly cheap. They're $1, $2, something like that. But one thing I am gonna do, once I get the game 100% working, I'm gonna go ahead and recap all the capacitors. So these capacitors, these are electrolytic capacitors, and they're kind of like car tires or brakes. They wear out after a while, and they start losing their function. So before it gets too late, or these things open up and leak their fluid that's in, these are actually filled with electrolytic fluid that helps it do its job. And sometimes these can leak, or they just weaken and they don't really filter like they're supposed to. And all around, just they're only rated for 10 to 15 years, depending on, you know, usage and that sort of thing, and they start to wear out. So once everything's fixed on the game, I'm going to go ahead and go through and recap all the boards. And these capacitors aren't very much. I mean, sometimes they're only a couple pennies. And this resistor looks like it's gotten hot at one point in time, so I'll probably replace that as well. So let's go ahead and pull this transistor and swap it out. So we've got this guy installed, so I just need to clip these leads right here. Another thing to note is if you're working on one of these older game boards, you want to check all your solder connection on all your header pins, because what happens over time is that these can develop cold solder joints. So when I recap this board, I'm going to go ahead and hit all these solder connections. Now, I believe this game also has the crappy header pins that no one likes, so I might down the road go ahead and swap these out with the nicer pins, but I am going to clean them up. Make sure all the contacts, you know, I see a little bit of corrosion on some of these right here, so While you have it out, go ahead and hit this. You can use some like deoxit spray, even rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip. You can use very, very light sandpaper, or a pencil eraser works really well. You can just use the pencil eraser to go across it. But I have a special fiberglass pen that I use that's perfect for this kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that before I put this board back in here. So this is the pen I was talking about, and you can just retract or add filament to it, but you just need a little bit, and you just kind of go through and just lightly go over all the pins to get all the corrosion off. And it does a really nice job. I'm going to go and do all these pins, and when I come back, we'll put it in the game and see what happens. Okay, we still have kind of a wacky display. Also, it could be this connector. Oh, it could be, there it is. This connector is dirty. You can see it's doing different things when I move it. So I'm putting some pressure on it, downward pressure. So let's see if the text is good. Yeah, text is back. So that connector is definitely dirty because I can hold it and it clears up. Or it does different things when I put pressure on it. So need to clean the contacts on that guy right there, because it was fine a minute ago. So I was in here, put my arms right here, so it probably jiggled whatever kind of connection it had. So I just reseated this connector a couple of times, and our displays look like they are normal again. I think one of the things I'll do is pull these displays out and clean these contacts really well. I'll even put some deoxit spray in there. That'll kind of help loosen whatever buildup there is. So let's see if we've got flippers now. Let's start another game. Yes, we got flippers. Right magna save is working. Pop bumpers are working. I don't like that solenoid continuing firing like that. Okay, seems like this is working with a little bit of a switch adjustment over there for that left teleport. So I'm going to jam on this game for a second and see what it does. Oops. I'm happy. It seems to play. It's really dirty and nasty, but we'll save that for the next episode where I tear into this game and get it looking pretty. Well, all in all, I'm pretty happy. These work with just minimal amount of repair that's going to need to be done, and the majority of it's going to be cosmetic. Basically shopping out both games with Titan rings and LED, and then gonna recap the boards like I'd mentioned earlier. So stay tuned to the next episode. We're gonna recap everything, and then we'll get into shopping out both of these games and seeing how nice they can turn out. I've got some cool tricks up my sleeve to rejuvenate these plastics. So stay tuned to the next episode and keep flipping.